Hey gang, here we are, Marvel Monday. We are back to doing the Star Wars, but for the first time in 9 months since we started, oh, we are all together. And we have an audience. So I'm Frank Gaffney. Here we are up to Star Wars episode 7, which is The Force Awakens. Joel, Mark Wotitz Gartner, who got some Wotitz today, Amy Goldman, Annie King, and then we have audience today, Anthony and King, and our technical advisor, Natasha. We are actually sitting in Joel's kitchen, dining room kitchen. What is this, the breakfast room?
Sure.
Breakfast room right now. So we don't care about you as much as we're here. And Natasha made us these shirts. Look at this. I survived Marvel Movie Mondays. And
this is the back of the shirt.
The back has every movie we've talked about on her Dolly Parton movies. All right. So I'm so excited about that. Okay. All right. So The Force Awakens, we've been traveling for the last 10 days and I watched the movie, but I did not write any notes. So I really don't have anything to say, but I will say lots of stuff as you start talking, because then I'll know. So for me, so we waited, what, 10 years since?
11.
2004 to, no, 2005.
2005
to 2015. Yeah, you're right.
So we waited 10 years for the, what is it, the 5th sequel, 6th sequel? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but George Lucas said he wasn't going to make it. He's like, no, 6 is plenty. We don't need 3 more.
Well, he said he wasn't going to make the sequel trilogy, but he was actually, from what I understand, he was starting to kind of move in that direction when Disney said, here's $4 billion, go away. So
yeah. And so, but George Lucas did give them the outline for the 3 episodes that he was going to do. And they promptly went, no, George, thanks. So J.J. Abrams hiring him was a great idea. He's a big fan of the Star Wars universe and he revitalized Star Trek.
Which was more like a Star Wars movie anyway. So
was that before this?
Yes.
So that was great. And then he did another brilliant thing, which was hire Lawrence Kasdan to help work on the script.
Yeah.
And that, for me, really brought the whole, even though it was almost a remake, a reboot, it was all of those things and a new story at the same time. So you could very easily say, Rey is Luke, and so there's, there are characters that definitely relate to the original trilogy, but and of course, Kylo Ren turns out to be the Darth Vader of the piece. So so all of that was great, and then having the other characters come back and not just a kind of cameo Easter egg thing,
right,
be a vital part of it. So this movie really is the Han Solo movie, really. And then the next one is, right?
Yeah, no,
is Luke's movie. And the third one would have been Princess Leia, but she died. So then they had to say, whoop, we had to rearrange. Excuse me, I have a message. Ursula wants to know what time she should be ready. Okay.
Right now, Ursula.
Yes, get ready.
Ursula, you already missed it. It was 2 days ago.
That's right, it's Monday.
It's Monday, all right.
We already had the party on Saturday. So for me, everything about it harkened back to the feel of those first 3 trilogy movies. So much fun, and we did, like I said, get a new story, and I really did love every minute of it. 3.5 stars, even watching it. And this was my 3rd time watching it, and I still enjoyed it immensely. Yeah, I see a lot of nodding heads. We'll go to Joel.
Hi. That angle. No, I agree with you. It's a fun film, and it does bring back everything that we all loved about that original trilogy. And none of the crap from the prequels gets dragged into it.
There's
yet.
no references.
Nothing that popped out when I was watching it again. And I love the fact that it really is following these new characters who do all fall into various archetypes along the same line as the original characters we fell in love with. And I love the fact that the original characters are all back, and they're not, I mean, aside from Luke at the very end, but that's a story purpose thing and not a one-off cameo thing. They all have meat to be in the story, and they're not just there for the audience to cheer, which they obviously did at everything. When I saw this in the theater, when she says, "Well, that ship's just junk," and they wind up taking it, and they get the shot of the Millennium Falcon, everybody erupted into applause, and it's great to have that, and it's a fun film. It really, from when it starts, it moves and it keeps going, and there's some nice heft to it and stuff, because now you've got these new characters are not boring. They're not throwaways. They're interesting. By the end of the film, I want to know who Rey is and where she comes from. I want to know more about Poe Dameron. I love the fact that we have a stormtrooper who has gone completely rogue because he's disgusted by what he was brought up to do. And
they just picked him out and trained him.
Yeah.
The thing that and that's what happens when you get a really good director who understands what the audience wants and how to tell them the story without telegraphing.
Yes.
So I want to point to one particular thing that was so brilliant, was that when we see that rogue stormtrooper and then he gets the blood on his helmet, and then you know who he is. Even though he's never taken off his helmet, you're like, oh, that's the one.
I thought that was
That's brilliant.
to me.
But I thought that is a brilliant way to say you're following this guy.
Right, but it's not just making you follow him because now he's been marked. That mark says so much about what's going on inside of him, because you've already seen the fact that he's hesitating. He doesn't know what he wants to do. And now that's physically on his face, that you can now see it.
He was Mark III.
Right.
I also thought it also brought some humanity. You sympathize with the stormtroopers a little bit.
Sure.
You actually see blood, that they're human beings and so forth. So that was one big thing.
And that was a nice, let's move to the next level.
And we joke about the fact that the stormtroopers, in the other movies, they're horrible shots. They never hit anything. In this film, they're hitting things left and right. This is actually, it's a little more violent in that sense, that when they get hit, they get hit.
Yeah, and blown up.
And there's the comparisons that could be made from, we're moving from the Empire to the First Order, to fascism and Nazism and stuff is just so blatant. And it's frightening, but in a good way, in a sense. I love the movie. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars as well. It's not quite, the 4 and 5, but it's as good as 6, maybe a little better in that sense.
But it has no Ewoks.
That's true. True, it has no Ewoks.
Or Jar Jar Binks.
Or Jar Jar Binks. But it's fun. I've seen it a few times at this point, and I would watch it again in a heartbeat.
Oh, Mark agrees.
I think there's going to be a lot of repetition here. I'm also giving it 3.5 stars.
This is how we were with Shang-Chi.
I love the
3.5.
This is a great movie. We love it.
Like you guys said, I mean, just after watching the prequels, this was a real breath of fresh air. I remember watching this in the theater, and the opening scene on Jakku, when you first meet Poe, and then when they first capture him, and he goes face to face with Kylo Ren, and there's that moment of silence, and then there's a joke of who goes first, how do we do that? I remember just breathing a sigh of relief that this is going to be a good movie. This is not going to be another prequel, thank God. And I immediately, like you said, you sucked into the characters, these characters we totally cared about. I thought there was a lot of fun scenes, fun lines.
I want to go back to that a second, because again, Lawrence Kasdan, I'm sure that was him, because it really does harken back to that whole, banter between I love you, I know, and all of that stuff. And it's just, the jokes were just so part of it.
The hand holding to run. I mean, right away, you cry, and then she holds his hand to grab. And to me, the best line, which is silly, or the best scene, I guess I should say, is when the Rey and Finn are first on the Millennium Falcon, and she's pointing to the tools, saying no,
Right.
no.
That was hilarious.
And as I say, most guys probably I can relate to that. In my house, go find this in the refrigerator, and I have complete refrigerator blindness. So no.
And that's Luna points to the.
Exactly. There it
That's
is.
what Luna wants.
And it was almost
Give me
like
the
Family
cheese.
Guy where they just keep.
Yeah.
No. So fun.
Like you guys said, just to have the original characters from the original trilogy back is awesome. The scene of Han and Leia hugging, I think it was pretty iconic right away. The scene where Han
Yeah, but it
dies,
was a little weird because he totally just went like this. I'm like, what are you doing to her hair right now? Wasn't it a little, it was a little abrupt?
Well, they were married for.
yeah, they had a history there.
I'm here, woman.
But I just couldn't help but think when Han's big death scene, that had been Hayden Christensen instead of Adam Driver. Just how much better it was in this, and how it could have been a ruined scene with some poor actors that they had in the first trilogy. Other than that, I would just say Greg Grunberg
Yeah. Love him.
owes his entire career to J.J.
Yeah,
Abrams. I
of
believe they were roommates.
They were.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
He's
So
in everything.
Yeah.
like everything that J.J. does.
Yeah,
So that cracked me
like
up.
I think he kind of thinks of him like a good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
'Cause I think he was also in Star Trek along with
Yeah,
Simon
yes,
Pegg.
yes,
Simon
yeah.
Pegg was the big guy, 1/4 portion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uncooked.
Okay.
Yes. 'Cause
Didn't catch that. Didn't catch
I'm the geek, so I have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
remember
I
this
know.
shit.
Oh, and sorry, I brought this up weeks ago when you said wait until this movie. What is the difference between a Ren and a Sith?
Oh, I don't fucking know.
Oh, wait all the time. I gotta look that up.
Was that what the question was? And I said, let's hold it. I'll find out for next week.
Thank
I should have said, tell me the question. I'll find the answer.
you.
Well, we would just assume you knew it, Joel.
No,
I assume.
I admittedly, yeah, take my crown. I apologize.
Oh, no, it's
I have not, admittedly, I have seen the sequel trilogy less than I've seen
Yeah.
the original because they're more new and I just,
Right.
there's so
I
many
mean,
other
in
things
6
going
years,
on.
how many times can you watch?
I've seen this one. This is my third time fully
Yeah,
through, and I've seen
me
bits and
too.
pieces.
I
I've
think
seen
I
the
actually-
second one twice.
I beat
and I've
everyone,
seen
and
the third
this is
one
my-
once.
This is my 5th time watching,
Okay.
and I've seen the other 2 twice.
You didn't say your storage.
I did in the beginning,
Yeah,
3.5.
yeah.
3.5.
I gotta memorize all these. Can I
Because
get a
everybody does three
tech
and a half.
support?
Yeah.
Can I get a paper?
Wait, you
all
don't have to
the same,
memorize
yeah.
anything unless they go off book.
Don't go
Yeah,
off
exactly. Everyone just do 3.5.
I give this movie 2 stars.
book.
I did see this movie in the theater and I remember loving it. I didn't remember a lot of it when I was watching it last night. There were moments where I was like, oh yeah, I remember. And I did not remember Kylo Ren killing Han Solo.
That barking you hear is Anthony agreeing. He's like, ooh.
I did remember it happening, but as soon as he was like this, like, oh, I was like, okay, he's gotta fucking kill him. And I did think it was a little cornball that you had the bad guy and the good guy is the son, and now it's just reverse. And there were so much of the movie where I thought this is the exact same story, but I loved it. There was not a moment where I thought it was boring. It was slow. There were a few cornball things, but nothing like any of the other movies. This is by far my favorite of the movies. So I haven't seen 7 and 8, so no spoilers, or 8 and 9. But I really loved it. I'll go with 3.5 stars.
But they do handle it, I think, beautifully. But she would have had I think she would have had a bigger
We'll
story.
talk about that when we get there.
Oh, good. And unless you don't remember.
No, I know there's stuff I know.
All right. Oh, and you're already.
And I thought the acting was really good as well. And I thought Harrison Ford actually seemed like he wanted to be there.
Right.
Well, because he
Right.
knew he wasn't going to be in the next one.
Right.
So he
Oh,
finally
yeah.
knew I don't have
Yeah.
to do another one.
Yeah.
He wanted to die at the end of 3, 6,
Four,
at the end of
five,
6,
five,
5.
five, and then 6.
And they wouldn't let him. And so now he's like, I get to die.
I don't have to do
Really
this
getting a
anymore.
pen and a paper for tech support.
And
No, what was it? Not tech support. What were you?
Station.
No, it's tech support.
Stage
Tech support.
manager? The technical director gave me a pen and a paper, but she already wrote the scores on it.
Who's keeping track for you?
All right,
Well,
that's it.
I really liked
Was
it
that
a
actually
lot.
two
Wait, I
stars?
want to talk
No, no,
about.
she said
Three
three.
and a half.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I want to say that Adam Driver, hello, he has such built-in intensity already getting there. So already he was, but I wish I really understood his obsession with Darth Vader. I mean, he didn't even know him.
And that's honestly coming back to that. That's my one kind of real issue with the film, is that between the end of Return of the Jedi and the beginning of this film, there's so much that happened.
It's 30 years
It's
later.
there, but it's not just 30 years later. There's so much that happened that, like, that crawl at the beginning doesn't do justice to
Right,
things
doesn't
like that,
come
because
to-
you want
yeah.
to see more of how did Kylo Ren get to this point?
Right.
Where the hell did the Force? I mean, I realize that, yes, the Empire is gone, the Emperor's dead, but it's not like, okay, that happened on a Tuesday and then everybody woke up Wednesday
Right,
morning
yeah.
and everybody was free and happy. There's still remnants,
Right.
and that's going to keep going. But how did those remnants of the
Right.
Empire turn into the First Order, and how did the
Right.
First Order become such a big, there's
Right.
there's a great spot for stories to fill that out. And I kind of
I'm
wish
sure
the movie
Disney
had,
will
I'm
make
sure they
more.
will. I mean, The Mandalorian does kind of take place in that time
In
frame,
between,
so
yeah.
maybe that'll lead up to something else. But
Right.
it would have been nice to have a little more of that going into this
Right.
before we get there. That's all.
So you're saying that nobody knows at this point who Kylo Ren really is besides Han's?
Well, we only know what they tell us in the movie.
In this movie?
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
he is.
and he acts at times like a a spoiled brat with
Yeah.
destroying
I
the
love
things,
that.
Emo.
I
Yeah.
thought he's so mean.
In the next movie, they give a lot of backstory of why he broke off.
Oh, okay. Good.
You get some of it here. I mean, you get that, Luke was training somebody, and, it's kind of obvious that that's who it was. And,
Real quick, I just wanted to say, sorry, before we get back
People are
on.
gonna get seasick from that.
Seriously. Just one part I really liked about the movie was that Rey and Finn, I love their relationship, and I love that it was totally platonic. I thought there was great, no romance involved at all. And then you just, like, I think it was Joel that said, you care about these characters, and at the end, you believe their friendship. So,
Yeah. Definitely.
Kind of like Shang-Chi and Katie, Sean and Katie.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. I think this was my third time watching it in full. And then I've seen bits and pieces of it along the way when it's on.
TBS.
But yeah, but definitely 3.5 stars. It moved, it kept me interested. It wasn't boring. I thought sometimes Kylo Ren was like over the top a little bit, little too whiny, a little. Yes, yeah, whiny. I like the humor in it. My favorite line was, maybe there's a trash compactor. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, cute.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was the good group called? It was the Empire was whatever they were.
The First Order and the Resistance.
Oh, when.
Right, we went from the rebellion to the resistance.
Right.
We
When,
used to rebel, now we just resist.
I thought the same thing with the
Yeah.
resistance family.
Yeah.
When Ray said, "Are you with the resistance?" and Finn was like,
Yeah.
his
I'm with
delivery
yes.
was
Yeah.
so good.
Whispering it, yes.
The humor was just terrific. It was unlike any other with George Lucas. It was
And
just
at,
stupid.
at the end, when they were on the planet with the destroyer or whatever, when Han Solo and Finn were together, it was like, just use the Force. That's not how it works.
Yes, it's how it
And it's
works.
Han Solo explaining how it works, which is great.
Yeah. I also thought, I was like, oh, Amy should watch this.
He only said kid like 4 times, and it was
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
because now he's 50 years older than the kid.
Yeah, I thought his role was so much, more, and that it was great. And I really wasn't expecting him to die. When I saw it in the theater, I was like, what just happened? How do you kill off my favorite character? And that was like,
It came as
You
I mean, seeing it in the theater, that was definitely a moment that, shocked everybody.
Oh, yeah.
That when it came. Because
Yeah, I definitely thought that they were all three gonna be in all three.
Right. Nope.
He was like, Harrison Ford was like, one and done. That's it for me. All right,
And
let's
also
talk.
when he says two, we were home, I remember the audience around.
Yeah,
That was a
of
brilliant
course.
line
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Because nobody was
Yeah,
expecting,
and
I
he-
certainly didn't remember the time that he was in it.
Yeah, and he did get a little misty one. It was very nice. And I agree, definitely. I mean, sometimes Harrison Ford can be very stone-faced. And here he definitely looked like he wanted to have a hit movie finally.
He was definitely, he was more relaxed than he's been in other movies and very, you know.
Till he
you could
broke
tell-
his foot.
Until he, yes.
Right
till he
in that
broke his-
door.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So do you want, well, let's have Joel
Wait, is
discuss.
Annie
this
finished?
part. Are you done?
Yes.
Are
There's
you
something
sure?
I just
Something.
had.
Okay, but she's just trying to
I
say
just had
something.
Something. Oh, and of course, like the big fight was on a catwalk again.
I know, I
Yes,
thought
yeah,
that
yeah.
was a
Yeah,
hit.
yeah.
That one.
You
Yeah. They had to
can't-
fall
you
down a
cannot have
big-
that,
yeah.
yes.
I know, it was
You
no
can't
side
have
rails,
that.
nothing.
Yeah.
I think they also wanted to say, you know, we're all thinking, maybe he's not dead. Well, did you see how far he fell? You know, 'cause before you could fall that far and the
And
ship
like,
comes to get
yes,
you.
Right.
Or like you're hanging on
Right.
one
So
arm.
I even thought, okay, in the next movie, they're gonna
So they're
show
gonna-
that he actually fell on a thing and they took him away and he's alive.
And one more, wasn't it great that C-3PO had the arm?
Yeah, there's another, how
Why did he get a
we
red
never
arm?
get that story.
Right.
Why did C-3PO have a red
Yeah.
arm?
And
You know.
well, she recognized me. Who?
Right.
I recognized me,
Right.
recognized me.
Right.
So
Yeah,
cute.
so funny.
Yeah, and Luke had that double.
Well, because his hand was cut off. So
I
obviously
know,
at some point it
but-
got replaced by something
Yeah,
more.
but you would think by this point.
Yeah, but he's been living
So it could
alone
look
on,
like an
you know, as
arm.
a hermit Jedi for how.
Yeah, but I would think it would be very hard to masturbate with metal.
He's got another hand.
Yeah, but you know, he's a lefty, so it's-
Let's get the audience here.
oh my gosh. All right, so here, Joel,
Yes.
talk about Daniel Craig,
Oh.
your boy.
Oh, yeah.
So anybody who didn't notice the scene.
No, you can't notice.
Did you know that Daniel Craig's in this movie? Did you know that Daniel? No.
He is.
So
But hold on, I only would have known because I read it.
I read
It
it.
was big
Okay.
at the time.
I recognized his voice.
Oh, you
Did?
can't
With
the American
recognize-
accent?
you
It's not
cannot.
quite an American accent.
You cannot.
Yes, you can. If you know his voice, you can recognize his voice. Yes,
I
you
wouldn't
can.
recognize
All right,
his voice
so
if I
this-
saw him.
Well, I could I'm a big Bond fan. I can recognize his
Yes,
voice.
you are.
Okay then.
Oh, wait, no, so when we were in New York, they had buses go by with Daniel Craig on it, No Time to Die.
Cool. I'm looking
Very
forward to
cool.
the movie.
I wish
But-
I would have taken it.
But we're not discussing Bond films now or ever at this point. So anyway, so in the movie, the scene where Rey is tied up in that thing, Kylo Ren's
About to get
interrogating,
tortured.
about to get tortured, the stormtrooper that she says, you know, you're gonna leave you're gonna untie me and leave the blaster. That's Daniel Craig. Now, he says maybe like 8 words, you know, just
Yeah,
repeating
yeah,
what she says. But if you know his voice, you can tell that that's him. He's not the only person who makes an appearance in the film. There's other people that I'm trying to remember.
If you watch Game of Thrones, there's the same casting director, and I recognize a lot of small parts like pilots at the end.
Oh, I was thinking, if you look at like Kevin Smith somewhere in the movie.
Judah Freelander.
Judah Friedlander's in there's
Maz.
there's
Maz, by the way, big shout out to Lupita Nyong'o for
Yes.
that part as well. I love Maz.
Maz Kanata.
Here's that Wookiee.
Was she actually there?
I don't know. These days when they shoot movies like that, usually the actor is on set to kind of be in
And
the
they put
spot.
the boop, boop, boop.
Mm.
They wear the outfit and
But I guess for her, the eye lines would have been
Shrunk her,
down.
yeah.
So yeah.
In
Well,
that,
that- that
in that case,
level,
they were
yeah.
like, my eyes are here. Right?
okay. You know who he is now. That's why I love when
Yes.
he walks out too. And you're gonna drop your gun. Just drop
Yeah,
it.
drop the
Yeah.
gun.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Really good humor.
And that was also great that she was discovering along the way these
That she-
powers that she didn't even know she had.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was really pretty fun.
And I was thinking, how is it gonna work though if she doesn't go like this?
Right.
Obi-Wan always went like that. You're gonna turn that computer, so you're right.
What made her think she could suggest it?
That's fine.
I think she was.
I'm gonna put it towards the
What?
Yes, he turned it to the left when she said you're
Yeah,
gonna
my,
turn
my,
your
my force didn't work.
computer to the right.
What was the
Turned it
question?
left.
And I did. What made her think she could?
I think she was just trying whatever she had at her disposal, and all of a sudden that was like, if I
Well,
think of
She was
this,
like,
She
if I
definitely
think right.
saw him do it,
Yeah,
like, you're
right,
going
right,
to tell me.
well, but she
so-
also knew when he was trying to read her mind at
Yeah.
one point, she was kind of blocking him. So obviously, at that point, she knew I can.
Hey, wait, this was also a very great moment when Kylo Ren went to force the saber
Uh-huh.
to himself and it
Uh-huh.
went right past
Past
him.
him,
yeah.
Love seeing that
I'm
in the
like,
theater.
that was
That was
brilliant. Brilliant. All right, so
And his lightsaber looking like a sword was great too.
right, it had the
Menorah.
little
With the
strap.
menorah.
Menorah. There's a meme where it looks like a
Yeah,
menorah.
yeah.
But it, yeah, that was nice.
I know, but
Understood.
but yes, it's cool looking, but I think the if you were looking at it in reality, you'd probably chop your own hand off in the process.
And of course, it's like it's in the future time when
No, it's not. It's a long time ago.
galaxy far away. But what because they have the blasters, but yet they still choose to do the elegant sword
Yeah.
fighting thing, swashbuckling.
When they were getting when the First Order came and attacked him at Maz's place in the world outside, yeah, they should have been. It was hanging out, sword
Yeah.
fighting right there. They should have been shot to smithereens.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah,
it totally made me think of the scene in Raise the Lost Ark. The guy goes, and he goes, "Oh, please, Mary."
Yeah, but that was improvised.
Yes, that was improvised because Harrison Ford had dysentery.
Yes.
But at the same time, sometimes I think that I'm like, oh God, just shoot him. Who
Right.
cares? All right, so brilliant movie. We all loved it. We're so happy to be here together today. Let's show the audience again. Say goodbye. Yay!
Yeah.
Stage manager, tech support.
I just gotta say, I think
So-
it's two firsts right now. Number one, the first time we're filming it together,
Yeah.
and the first time we all gave it the same exact number.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Yeah. What is wrong with you, Aim? Ann is usually the one that's has a higher rating. She likes movies more than we do, obviously.
Well, I don't break it down as
But
much.
that's
as,
okay, that's good
I
that
just
she-
watch it to.
Yeah,
To be
have a good time.
entertained and enjoyed.
Yeah, as you should.
Yeah.
But
I was different last week on Shang-Chi on the up.
yes,
Yes.
you went higher than anybody else. But that's the real fun of it. That we all look at it,
Differently.
with our eyes and we see the things we see and what we love and don't love about it. But it's been so much fun. It really has, you guys, this whole 9 months of doing this. I'm glad I suggested it. All right, so next week we move on to.
Oh, wait, we're doing more next week? I thought this was the end.
Pretty much said goodbye.
Oh, that's it, we're done. Next week we're doing, what's it called?
The last.
The Last Jedi, which is a lot. It is.
Is it?
It's not directed by.
Not
It's
directed by
not.
JJ. Who's directed?
This is Rian Johnson. Knives Out.
Oh, Knives Out. Where he got his friend Daniel Craig.
He's done other things, but that's the first thing that came to mind.
Oh. All right, so next week is The Last Jedi. And then we'll do the last one and then we're going somewhere.
Well, we still have Rogue One and.
And Solo.
But we're gonna also
But I think,
do
are
What
we
If.
fitting What If in there? And then I think it's Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, What If, Rogue One, Solo, and then we're done with Star Wars.
And then we move on to.
Oh, with the one movie coming out.
The Eternals.
Oh, Eternals. then
Yeah.
it's Spider-Man.
Not next month, it's November.
All right, well, if you're still watching, thank you for being here.
And if you're not, screw you. No.
Everybody, screw you. All right.